Right then, welcome back, and happy, what are we, Sunday? Happy Sunday, the 7th of May, the day after King Charles III's coronation. If you're into that, I hope you enjoyed it. If you're not, I hope you had a good Saturday with it being quiet out and about. Something different today, and before we get into the meat and bones of it, I just need to say I'm very uncomfortable with the concept of asking people for money. Now, it's not for me, it's for Crohn's and Colitis UK, a charity which, well, as we get onto, is very important to me, myself. It's also important to, obviously, Mrs. Motto, Sam. But, yeah, in April, Crohn's and Colitis had a challenge to ride 300 kilometres. So they didn't specify how, you just had to ride 300 kilometres. Now, to find the page, you need to go to Just Giving, search for me, my name, not the YouTube channel, search for me, Paul Martin, and then look for the My 300 kilometre challenge, Ride It 2023, click on that, and then that's the page. Now, as you can see, I've put this off as long as I can. I have raised a bit of money via Facebook, but not a lot. All the details, every time we went on a ride, I linked it to Strava, and basically we spent most of April riding up and down the northeast coast. In all weathers, it was freezing as well. But as you can see, zero. The target is £150. Now, we've done 60 on Facebook, as you can see there on the right, and that's my kilometres total on the left, so 364.68. There's a log of all the ride outs we did. Was it easy? No. For reasons that we'll come on to in a minute. Now, as I said at the start, I'm very uncomfortable asking people for money. I've got 800 odd subscribers. I appreciate that a lot of people that subscribe to the channel, or a lot of subscribers, aren't necessarily people who are watching videos. They're just subscribing for the sake of subscribing, and that is what it is. Every channel has that. However, I have a lot of people who do watch the videos and comment and bits and bobs. Now, 150 quid, if 150 people watch the video, it's a quid each. That's the way my man maths works, but as to whether it works out that way, I'm not quite sure. If you can give nothing but congratulations and well done and top job, then that is absolutely fine. And feel free to reciprocate if you are raising money for charity. Obviously, if 500 people give a tenner and then 500 people patch me up to say, oh, I'm doing a charity ride, I'll be in a world of trouble. But if you're doing something and you want some sponsorship, just tap me up. Tap me up in the comments, and I will put the link to the Just Giving page in the description if that makes it easier for people. But yeah, so why did we do it? Well, more specifically, what compelled us to do it? I initially went for tests to see if I had some kind of irritable bowel disease in 2010. I was in the military, I was in the Royal Air Force at the time, and for reasons unbeknown to me and completely out of my control, the test results came back positive, but I didn't get told. Yeah, a little bit awkward, but it is what it is, as much as I hate that phrase and I use it a lot and get hammered for it at work, but you cannot change the past, you can only learn from it. So I didn't get told. I left the military a few years later. I just could not maintain the physical and fitness standards that were required. Not that they're massively extreme, but I just couldn't do it. My body would not let me, and the reason is I had Crohn's, but I did not know. I was suffering symptoms. I was going to the toilet a lot. I wasn't particularly enjoying going to the toilet a lot, sometimes 20, 25 times a day. I would eat something, need to go to the toilet straight away. Stuff that I was eating was coming through undigested. There was blood coming out of places that blood shouldn't. I had stomach cramps. I had cramps in my backside. You name it, all the symptoms were there. And just like a typical boy, typical man, I just thought, yeah, be right, it'll go away on its own. It didn't. It absolutely did not. I subsequently went on to work for a Honda motorcycle franchise, selling motorbikes initially, then as a motorcycle instructor, all the while knowing in the background that there was probably something quite wrong with me, but just ignoring it. So if nothing else comes of this, if you have any of the symptoms of Crohn's or colitis or any irritable bowel disease, just go and see somebody. Just go and see your GP or look up your local IBD team and just book an appointment. Because I did nothing for nearly 10 years and I ended up in hospital, and I ended up in a pretty sorry state. I had an operation in 2014, I want to say, where they thought I had an abscess in my groin. No, it was linked to the Crohn's. It was a perianal fissure or fistula. I don't know which is the correct term, one or the other. I had to have that drained. It was about the size of my fist when they took me, and I was doing a CBT, teaching a very nice man on a CBT, and said to him, look mate, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to stop because I'm bleeding and I can't stop it. So I hadn't changed GPs. It was a nightmare. I had to go from Newcastle to Alnwick to see my doctor because I'd moved and hadn't moved my doctor, and then I had to go from there to one. It was just a nightmare. So do not do that. Just do not. But had an operation. They thought it was an abscess. They cleared it. I had a few days in hospital and then weeks and weeks with a district nurse. And then when it healed, because it was linked to my bowel, essentially it was a tear in my bowel wall. And when I was going to the toilet, all the waste, instead of coming out my backside, some of it was going into this pipe, this tear that had been created. And yeah, it wasn't very good. About as scary as this stair set that we're about to go down. Do not let the camera fool you. These are steep and they are incredibly narrow. There was a little bit of, I need to steady myself before I went down them. Yeah, they're quite steep. Sam refuses to go down them. She says no, her brain won't let her. Her brain just refuses. She's tried once. She went down 2 steps, put the front brake on, and then scraped away most of the way down the wall. So yeah, not a good idea. But yeah, so had an operation, didn't work, had to go back in, had another operation, they laid it open, they kept asking me about Crohn's, and I said, well, I've not been told anything, which was the truth at the time. I had not been told anything. And then I kind of bodged it, and that kind of helped the symptoms a little bit. And then in 2019, in fact, rewind a little bit, I left being a bike instructor. I went to be a shop fitter for a little while, but Crohn's, IBD and shop fitting don't go together because, well, you're working in a shit environment. There's loads of dust and crap and dirt, and it's graft and long days, and it just was not a practical thing to do. In the meantime, my dad passed away of leukemia, and he said to me, you need to try and get back in the Air Force, because if you're part of something like that, then you can set yourself up for the future. He was a miner back in the day, and there was all pensions and bits and bobs, and well, I mean, you can't ignore the last thing your dad says to you, can you, before he dies? You've got to listen, and you've got to take it on board. So I took stock and decided to get back in the military. Managed to get back to the fitness standard, I don't know how. Passed the fitness test, got in, and then everything was fine till 2019. And then it just hit me like a train. September 2019, I was off work. I got an emergency appointment with the IBD consultant, and she said she was 99% certain that I had Crohn's. Did some tests, went in the operating theatre and knocked me out, put cameras in places that you don't really want cameras, and they confirmed that I had Crohn's. And at the time I jokingly said, oh well, at least it's not bowel cancer. Just trying to kind of take the edge off of quite a horrible situation. And she said, no, you would have been better because we could have got rid of that. Oh, well, thank you very much for coming. But yeah, so basically it was, you're in a shit state, you've got a shit condition, there's no cure for it, it's treatment and control. And they were quite open and honest, and they basically said, look, if we don't treat you, you will die. However, bear in mind that the treatment, which is a form of chemotherapy, which I go and have every 8 weeks, probably will also kill you. So stuck between a rock and a hard place. And yeah, what do you do? If you've spent any time watching the videos, I'm not an overly miserable person. I hope that comes across when I do the videos for Ride and other bits and bobs and out on the motorbike. I like a grumble. Everybody likes a grumble, and things annoy me and things piss me off, and I'm not shy at coming forward and saying, no, hang on, you're a knobhead, that's not right. But yeah, where do you go? What do you do with it? Like, what do you do with that? And in all honesty, until you're in that situation, I don't think that you know the answer. And I basically decided, and excuse me if I get a bit emotional, but I basically decided that this disease was not going to beat me. It was not. I don't care what I had to do, what treatment I needed to go through. I refused to let this hateful like blip that causes this horrible disease. I thought, no, it's not. I'm not having it. It was hard. Lockdown was horrific. I got diagnosed in September, October 2019. I had to have 2 operations to remove bits and bobs and try and sort things out. And I started my treatment in the January 2020. When was lockdown? March 2020? I think it was March 2020, wasn't it? So I had no immune system because they'd wiped it out with the chemotherapy. I was taking tablets to stop my body rejecting the treatment after so long. Lockdown was horrendous. I was by myself for probably 85-90% of it. Wasn't allowed to go outside, not go outside at night time. They said, do not go outside. You don't know where people are. Someone could walk around the corner and cough, and you're going to get it, and you're going to be in a world of trouble. And I genuinely took that at face value. I did not leave the house for probably 7 months. I have neighbours who've got kids who are in the back garden playing. We have a path that runs past the front of the house where people were walking up and down all day, and it was glorious weather, and I was trapped in the house, absolutely shit myself. So yeah, bad. Took a long time for the treatment to get on top of the damage that the Crohn's had done, and it wasn't until probably midway through the summer to like late summer, early autumn 2021, so almost 18 months before I was in any state to go back to work in any reasonable capacity. So yeah, it was rough, it was shit, it was hard, but that's what ignoring it for 10 years does. So we're back on track now. It's never going to go away. I have good days and bad days. Thankfully, I'm very lucky in the fact that I have more good days than bad days. I have to be very careful what I eat. My actual condition that's specific to me is I have perianal Crohn's, so it's right at the bottom, before the exit, in essence, without getting too grim and using words that YouTube probably won't like, but that's where it affects me. So if I have a flare-up, anything that goes into the holding area that normally you go, oh, I need to go to the toilet, I'll remember to do that when I go home, I don't have the luxury of deciding not to go. Me and my wife call them no-notice scrambles, and basically if I get that feeling, I don't have a choice. I have to go, and I have to get rid of whatever is in there that's causing me the agitation. My diet is shocking. I can't eat anything fresh or raw. I can't eat anything with a skin on it. I can't eat any cereals or nuts or porridges or like you name it. So like any type of like cakes or anything that have got nuts in, or I can't have any fresh dairy. It's just an absolute nightmare, but it's better than being laid on the sofa wishing I was dead, because I'm in a massive amount of pain. I can manage not eating all the nice things in the world and just having a very bland diet if it means I get a few more years before I'm in a wooden box and they burn me. But yeah, so that's why I'm doing it. I apologise, it was a long description, and if you're still with me, thank you very much for listening to me and letting me get in some of that off my chest, because outside of Mrs. Motto, who's pedalling along there as hard as you can. Outside of that, and obviously talking to close friends and family, not many people know that I've been through that, because it's not something that, one, I've broadcast to a lot of people, and two, people necessarily want to know. So if you're still with me, thank you. And that is why I thought, well, do you know what, I'm going to do this. And we knew it was coming. We got a bit of notice, and there's a load of pictures at the end that I took and Sam took while we were out and about doing things. And basically what we've done is a kind of really long tour of the northeast coast, from Blythe and Ridley Park, and the docks, Blythe docks, all the way down to Fisherman's Quay at Tynemouth, and pretty much everything in between. And we picked our way along the coast. And I mean, some days I was going out at 6:30 in the morning doing 30 miles just to get the mileage done. I had a massive flare up in the middle of the month, 2 weeks of just not being able to do anything, and because of where my Crohn's affects me, right at the back door, like sitting on a bike saddle when I have a flare is just absolute agony. Energy levels are an issue because of the type of diet that I've got. I can't maintain a high output for a massive amount of time, probably 20 minutes, half an hour, and then I have to go down and have a sleep. I can't process like food and replace the energy in my body like as a normal or a healthy person would. There's all sorts of weird and wonderful ways that we try and get around it. But the biggest thing we did, and when you see the pictures, is we bought an e-bike, as in a bike with a battery and a motor, and it has genuinely changed my life. When the weather's a bit better and it's a bit warmer, I might go out and about and put the GoPro on and see if I can do a little bit of a review of why it's so good and bits and bobs. But they're not cheap. It was a bit of a financial burden, but it has given us the freedom to go out for 2, 3, 4 hours at a time and cycle. Sam hates it. She says mean things to me, and isn't very impressed because we can't afford for her to have one as well. So I've got one. It's unbelievable. It's a monster truck. It goes over everything. Boost or turbo mode or whatever it is absolutely ridiculous. It is just stupid. I do provide a taxi service up the hills, as you've just seen, but I am quite kind. Although I did go to Kilda with a very good mate of mine a few weeks back, and it's 25, 26 miles on a loop of Kilda. Weather wasn't particularly great, and about 3/4 of the way round he was not happy. He was particularly grumpy. So Sean, if you're watching this, I hope you're over it. I'll never forget how much of a miserable bastard you were while riding around, but all is forgiven, because you're like a brother to me, so we'll let that one slide. But yeah, so I bought an e-bike, and basically we just cracked on. There were some big days. I was getting through, some days I was doing 70, 80 kilometres towards the end of the month. We had like a week left, and we had like 160 kilometres to do or something stupid. So yeah, there was quite a lot of panic at the end of the month, but we had till the last day in April to do it. And like I say, we just used the rides that we did in April and then stopped. Sam's done it as well, but I mean, she's not doing too bad because she's asked some friends and that on social media. I haven't done anything with it because I just don't, like I said, I don't like asking people for money. But I'll leave you be. It's just basically us riding back north up the coast along the seafront at Blythe. This is South Beach at Blythe now, and then we'll go up to Ridley Park, through the docks, and then we'll wind our way back along Blythe River, almost to is it not Atwell? Attry, I can't remember, the Labour leader who was the Prime Minister, I can't remember, but we nearly get all the way back to a miners' kind of memorial park that they used to use for picnics and bits and bobs. But yeah, it was freezing cold, I won't lie to you. The weather in the northeast of England has been horrific. Today, Sunday the 7th, is the first reasonable day we've had, and it's about 15 degrees outside, but it's pissed it down all morning. We're going to go on the motorbikes, but we never got a chance. But yeah, there you go. In essence, it's a charity that has helped me. It's a charity that helps a lot of people. It's a horrible disease, there's no cure, so if you can spare £1 or £2 or £5 or whatever, and you're willing to give it, if you click on the link or follow the directions, I would very much appreciate it. So thank you for listening to me. I know I like to talk, I know I like to rant a little bit, but yeah, thank you, and fingers crossed, I'll see you soon. Take care, stay safe, peace. Love the filthy looks everyone gives you. The filthy looks that everyone gives you. How dare you be out? I know. I'll go right this time. That dog on its back. Best day ever. There's a lot of mooring points, isn't there? There's a lot of mooring points.
Captain, yeah. There's a little ladder points coming up.
Yeah, I know. I genuinely don't like that noise of riding along that.
You up?
I don't like the noise of the wood.
It's weird, isn't it? You're like, oh,
Like,
give that a miss.
is it going to go away and I'm going to get wet? It is getting warm.
Let us cook something.
Say again?
That's a bit cooler.
Every time it's like I'm going to lose a finger. It's amazing how much nicer a little bit of warmth makes it.
Yeah.
Has it gone away, has it? What was the red one though? That bullfinch. Yeah?
Yeah, probably so. Their car situation there. Very 27-year-old child.
Jesus. What about an octopus? More intelligent. No, more intelligent than most fly. Oh.
An octopus more intelligent than all flying. We've qualified 4, right? And none of them were easy. They all struggled along That was like, no!
They knew what was coming then. Thank you. Keep up. again? What? It is, isn't it? Someone left me a message, well, made a comment last night on that setup video for Ride. I thought, not all heroes wear capes. Hello.
Hello, Bossy.
Made my videos for what? What does that even mean? You want to ride me, do you? Do you?
Yeah. He just looked at his mates and goes, watch this.
Do you want to go? Do you want to go up the big hill? You've got a very similar face to that horse right now. Yeah. Probably pull my arms off. Don't be like that.
I told you it wouldn't work. You never tried to shove you, it just won't work. You just shove it back.
Whoop. I hated it the other day on this. Yeah, it's disgusting. We don't have to do it.
I'd rather put the weed in. I'd rather put the weed.
I know. Cheers, thank you. Good recall. but not very nice. Yeah? We have done it like empty, haven't we? Really?